welcome to Dialogue. To foster international consensus and cooperation on sustainable marine development, representatives from more than 40 countries gather in the East China city of Qingdao for the 2024 Global Ocean Development Forum. What is the theme of this year's forum? What can mankind do to better protect the world's oceans? And what constitutes the ideal blue partnership, both regionally and globally? Join us for our discussions from Qingdao. I'm Xu Qinduo. Joining me in this part is Paubet Mahatante, Minister of Fisheries and Blue Economy of the Republic of Madagascar. Welcome to Dialogue, Minister.
Thank you.
What's your takeaway? So what are the key messages?
We cannot develop our economy without the ocean. As you know, ocean has been used by generations for social use, economical use, environmental use. So now is the time for us to exchange knowledge and also to move on, let's say, joint actions on how to sustainably use the ocean resources for the current generation and then for the next generation. So I think that my take from this forum now is now we see how it is going on here in eastern part of the world, and we have seen how it is going on on the western part of the world and also in Africa. Now it is now up to us to exchange knowledge and to see on how together we're going to improve the well-being of every country, the well-being of every people, just because that is our duty. And there is no way around for us to step back. Let's move forward, give hand, and then, of course, try to have a real collaboration that will benefit all sides, every side. Thank you.
You're the Minister for Fisheries and Blue Economy. Usually for developing countries, you know, it's harder to strike a balance. On one hand, you want to develop because you need to feed the people, prosperity, stability. On the other hand, you want to protect and conserve.
Well, you are totally right. You are totally right, but we should not forget one thing. Conservation has a cost. And since conservation has a cost, we need to meet that cost. And meeting that cost doesn't necessarily mean that Madagascar alone will meet that cost. So that's why we are partnering with every country in the world. Just because if you remember what I said during my speech, stating that Madagascar is one of the global biodiversity hotspots. 95% of the biodiversity in Madagascar are endemics. They cannot be found anywhere in the world. And we are home for 250,000 species. So I think it is the whole world that has the high interest to preserve and conserve the biodiversity in Madagascar. So I'm calling on all partners to give hands, to come to Madagascar, to help the government. Now this current government is working hard to put in place protected areas everywhere and then meet at the same time the needs of the community. Just because, as you said, we cannot do conservation if the people are starving, if the people cannot find jobs, if the people cannot feed themselves. So, which means that we need to find the balance on how we're going to well marry conservation and then development process. And blue economy is one of the main opportunities in this process. Thank you.
Beyond, of course, the potential challenges, all real challenges of feeding the people, you know, for example, avoiding, people being hungry, right? And jobs. And then there are, we say island nations, they are facing the severe consequences of climate change, for example, pollution, for example, ocean probably overexploitation. What are the threats faced by your country?
The main climate risks for Madagascar are cyclones, droughts, wind intensification, sea level rise, high tides, floods, and so on and so forth. So we cannot say, we have to have the humility to say that Madagascar alone cannot address all of these risks. So that's why, once again, we are calling on all partners to come and help us through strengthening the knowledge of the people, through strengthening all of the means that the government is deploying, and then, of course, strengthening the resilience of the community. And why I'm saying this? I am saying this just because we need to have strong community, resilient community that can face, that can address all of these challenges. And then I think that now we have good models everywhere in the world. So on behalf of the humanity, now it's time for us to give hands and see on how we're going to jointly address all of these issues.
Mm-hmm. Speak of that, as you said, Madagascar needs the help, assistance from the rest of the world because it's in their own interest. We have this upcoming 2024 UN Climate Change Conference, also called like COP29 in Baku, Azerbaijan. People say the core issue of the conference is about the finance, climate finance. So they call it like finance COP. But then we have the recent story of basically developed countries balking at making a new commitment in terms of climate finance. Some are even suggesting whether we are, the finance should come in the form of funds or loans. People are not happy with the term loans here. Some would say that's justice, reparation, that's their responsibility. What's your opinion on that?
Well, humbly speaking, we shouldn't be talking about loans. We should be talking about financial support. Why am I saying this? I am saying this that Madagascar is not responsible at all of the global current climate change. The global rate, the contribution of Madagascar to the CO2, the global CO2 emission is 0.04%. So 0.04%, which means
minimum.
That very little, which means that we are not responsible at all of this current climate change. But we badly, hit by its consequences. So we cannot be talking about loans regarding that.
More debt?
Yeah. We
more burden.
We cannot talking about loans. So that's why, as we say, we have to, hold the responsible. Who are the responsibles? We know all of them. So we are seeking for justice regarding that. Our people, our Malagasy people, don't have to do with the current climate change. We have lived, in a good weather, in a good environment for decades. And just because of the development of the others, just because of the way of the others to, to develop their countries.
Industrial.
And now, it has a bad impact on the life of the Malagasy people. So, that talking about climate finance, I think we need to have a system, a global system, on how to help the developing countries like Madagascar, on how to support them implementing the National Action Plan of Adaptation to Climate Change.
It's a justice, not
It's a justice.
Not like a philanthropy or
No.
charity.
It's a justice. It's a justice. It seems like I have my own factory, and my own factory polluted your water. So I cannot say that I'm going to give you money that it will turn back to me with some interest just because your water is polluted just because of my factory.
So it's not a money-making course.
No, it is not. It is not. It is not just because I have polluted your environment and I am responsible of it. So you have the right to hold me as responsible to, address the impact of that pollution.
In this case, climate change.
Exactly.
Thank you, Minister.
Thank you so much.
Joining me in this part is Ashok Adiceam, Deputy Special Envoy of the French President for the UN Ocean Conference. Let's deal with some of the concerns. People have concern about the potential industrialization, militarization of the oceans, and also people can, on one hand, I think we are happy to see the UN agreement on protection of this biodiversity of basically the oceans beyond the national jurisdiction, high seas governance.
Absolutely.
At the same time, people are wondering whether that will be somehow misused by those who are able to exploit the ocean.
Yes.
And the name of like a blue economy.
Yes.
What's your response to that?
Our response has to be a collective response. We are working with the UN to prepare the next UN Ocean Conference, which has 3 priorities. It's just a triangle. On the top of the triangle is ocean governance. On the base you have science, and the other base you have blue economy. They go together. So there's no good governance without science and without blue economy. And it cannot work without a multilateral governance. So this discussion has to be held within the UN system. What is fantastic with the BBNJ treaty, the Treaty for the High Seas, which was accelerated in 2022, which was signed in 2023, including by China, and we congratulate China for signing the treaty. And now our responsibility is to ratify this treaty as soon as possible in order to start what? The next COP, Conference of Parties for the Ocean, the first COP for the ocean, for the high seas. That would give the opportunity to raise the debates where debates have to be held on biodiversity and on security as well. Our job as blue diplomats is to see that 2 things work hand in hand: protection, biodiversity, and prosperity. And I know in this country
The balance here.
how important prosperity and what does it mean in the thought process of the Chinese. If you don't have protection, you don't have prosperity. And if you don't have enough prosperity, you don't have the means for the protection. So this is our 2 legs on which we are walking towards this multilateral rendezvous, which is UNOC. So in each ocean, I should say oceans, but we don't use the plural. We use one ocean, like one planet. There are disputes, there are concerns, there are discussions that has to be taken to the multilateral fora. That's what we believe, and that's what we are trying to support in the different UN organizations, which include the FAO, for instance, which is led by a fantastic Chinese bureaucrat who is in charge of the food agricultural organization, with fantastic deliverables on, talking about blue economy, on blue food, on aquaculture. So we want to focus on that, and we believe that the countries who are coming up with solutions for humanity through the ocean are countries who are going to take the leadership, including on the management of the seas beyond the national jurisdiction. So I think the process is a good process where we're going to step by step address ocean governance, ocean science, and blue economy in a very measured and regulated way.
Speak of the partnership, of course, Chinese President Xi Jinping visited France.
Yes.
Met his counterpart, President Macron. They signed a document on the maritime cooperation between the 2 countries.
Absolutely.
Tell us more in that respect between the 2 sides.
Yeah, so with our colleagues at the embassy in Beijing, we discussed a lot for hours with our counterparts at the Ministry of Foreign Affairs in Beijing. We had discussions in France as well, and we wanted to build a robust bridge at a presidential level. So President Xi Jinping, when he visited Paris in May, signed this roadmap from Kunming, Montreal, that means the Global Biodiversity Framework, to Nice. Nice is the UN Ocean Conference, that means which brings together biodiversity framework and ocean agenda together. And we believe in this nexus, and we thank China for the fantastic work you did when you presided over this Global Biodiversity Framework in Montreal, the Kunming-Montreal Agreement. And we hope that we'll be at the level of expectations in our co-presidency of the Ocean Agenda in 2025. Why? It means that climate, biodiversity, and ocean has to be at the same level in the international agenda. For the time being, you see, UNOC is only the third edition. COP, the next one is COP 30. You see how late the ocean is.
That's right.
We thank China for your leadership, and this forum is proving your leadership in the ocean affairs, governance, blue economy, science, and that's the reason why our two countries are very much aligned in this ocean agenda. And we have 8 items in our roadmap, which has conservation, protection, blue economy, science, all with very concrete deliverables like algae and blue food that our two presidents happily signed last May. And this is carrying us to our next rendezvous, which will be in Nice in June 2025.
We have this upcoming 2024 UN Climate Change Conference in Azerbaijan. Reports say one of the core issues is this climate finance.
Yeah.
Basically developed countries or rich countries will help with the least developed countries, let's say.
Yes.
With funds to help them with climate adaptation or mitigation, for example.
Yes.
So where are we now? Do you think, what's the stance of France?
So I will reply as far as I'm concerned in the ocean finance. The ocean finance, we are creating, as you know, this Blue Economy and Finance Forum, France and Monaco, with the support of Costa Rica, which is happening at the same time at the Ocean Agenda in UNOC. And we want to bring together like $100 billion of dollars of public and private together. What is in the pipe? We are doing a mapping with many different countries, including WRI, the World Resource Institute, is working on this mapping to show that there is investment in the ocean, and that could be scaled up through concrete projects. So there are concrete projects initiatives on the blue economy that we are identifying, and identifying, on the other hand, innovative financial solutions. And what we want to do is the matchmaking in Nice to finalize and to scale up, again, ocean economy and ocean finance. What are we trying to do here, to respond to your question on climate finance? I've not forgotten the question. Is we want to create coalitions. And this coalition has countries from the north, say like Norway, countries from the south, like Indonesia, who are working together already in the ocean panel, for instance. We want to work, France and China, together with countries, say, like Sri Lanka, who are looking for expertise, looking for capacity building. We can, if we build, intelligent coalitions dedicated to specific topics in the ocean agenda, say the transition of the maritime transport, decarbonization. If we create coalitions north and south together, then we will find solutions together, and we would avoid a conflictual world, to come back to the third P, to peace. And I think that it's through peace that you can build the good cooperation, the good partnerships, which is the main topic in this conference. I'm very impressed by so many countries who have come here, from islands, from Europe, from so many Asian countries who are present in this Qingdao forum, which shows that
that is good.
It's north and south together. And that's the way we can find solutions.
Let's focus on China a little bit. China has this, we say, dual goals in 2030,
yes.
peaking of carbon dioxide emission, and 2060 carbon neutrality to be achieved.
Yes.
And some say China has already reached the peak, probably 6 years ahead of the schedule, because of obviously the rapid development of renewable energy, and also in a way probably slow down the economy.
Yes.
So what's your stance on that, your understanding of the Chinese commitment to this climate change pledges?
We are very admirative of the innovation which is taking place here in this country, and especially in Qingdao and your different scientific research centers. The Global Once Zero Carbon Network of Professor Zhao Nanzi is a partner of not only IOC in Paris, but also of us for organizing the next UN Ocean Conference. The solutions, the innovations, the laboratories, the work they're doing here is really amazing, including in the knowledge that you're developing on the deep seas. We are positioned against deep sea mining. I know we don't have the same position with China. However, we have the same interest in bringing more science, more innovations, more discoveries of the deep seas to understand better the ecosystem. We only know 20% of the ecosystem. So whatever progress your scientists are doing, they serve the world in our own discovery of the ocean, including the deep seas, or including the fight against acidification. What you are doing in the bioengineering is very interesting for us to learn better. We have this very famous Professor Jean-Pierre Gattuso from the CNRS, who's the co-chair of the Ocean Science Congress happening in Nice at the beginning of the UNOC, who's working very closely with his Chinese counterparts here on this question of acidification and solutions against the acidification of the ocean. So you see, again, even in very specific technical topics, our people work very closely together, again, for the ocean of the future.
Thank you, Ashok. Thank you for speaking with us.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Joining me in this part is Yutaka Michida, chairperson of the Intergovernmental Oceanographic Commission of UNESCO and distinguished professor of Oceanology at the University of Tokyo. Welcome to Dialogue, Professor.
Yes, my pleasure.
The year 2021, and 2030, the 10 years, was known as the Ocean Decade. And also, people identified the 10 major challenges for this period of time. Tell us more about this Ocean Decade.
Ocean Decade, yes. The originally designed by IOC because the setting up the SDGs goal. SDGs in 2015. After the 2015, there is some kind of assessment published, talking about what kind of the target lacking of the investment. So based on that, the assessment, the least invested area is ocean. So say common keywords of the Sustainable Development Goal is no one left behind, right? But the situation, if the situation could not be changed, the ocean may be left behind. So that's a problem for us as an oceanographer. So in this connection, we try to discuss about what kind of what we can activate the ocean-related activities or the Sustainable Development Goal, namely the SDG 14. So the basic the discussion was made during period of 2016 to 17, and set up the concept paper, and that mentioned about the science-based policy issue is a target. So to promote the science toward the goal of the 7 society outcomes to solve the problem, to provide a solution. That is the idea, and fortunately we started as scheduled year 2021.
The World Economic Forum, when you made this startling prediction, it said that by 2040, this is about this plastics, it says there would be as much plastic garbage in the ocean as sea life. What's your response?
Yeah.
I mean,
there are so many unknown factors.
It's shocking, the prediction itself.
Yeah. It's not easy to answer, but The problem, maybe the potential problem is caused by the smaller scale microplastic. I mean the smaller size, smaller than the micrometer, nanoscale plastic particle can be absorbed in our body through our digestive system. Digestion system.
Like a fish, like throughout the system.
So in this case, that maybe the smaller scale microplastic can be accumulated in our body. So,
that's dangerous, right?
Possibly dangerous, but no obvious evidence we have so far. But the potential risks are already cautioned by the expert and scientists in our group as well. So it's not easy for us to stop usage of the plastic, but we can reduce the plastic usage. So we can wait the result of the scientific research. It takes about more than 10 more years or 20 years for the final answer for the risk in terms of risk assessment. So but the 20 years later, everything everywhere occupied by plastic garbage. So we have to avoid such a situation. So the important point is we can do what we can do now. We have to do what we can do now.
Let's focus a little bit on China. For example, its Blue Circle Plan, implemented in one of the Chinese coastal cities, called Taizhou, was named the 2023 champion of the Earth for entrepreneurial vision, one of the UN's highest environmental honors. So basically, according to the plan, the fishermen are paid to collect the plastics.
Okay.
And then they use the blockchain technology or Internet of Things technology to monitor the whole cycle of recycle and resale of those plastic waste. So they try to strike a balance between basically, you want to have ocean protection at the same time, you want to have these economic benefits. What's your, how do you say about this practice?
Having heard that, I congratulate China on its environment award. I mean, it's sort of the balanced way, That is the reason of success, The extreme, the countermeasure will not be able to continue, right? So maybe I'm not sure exactly about the activity itself, but we can among all the other countries can share such kind of success story achieved by one of the China city. So in this connection, please advertise more among the world your achievement, with regard to the environmental protection.
Yeah, we can share this practice with other countries or other cities, so we can have a larger impact.
Based on that, the success story, we can modify it as applicable to our society. So that is the sense,
Well, thank you, Professor Michida.
Thank you
for speaking to us.